Dash cam. All right.
He's about as effective with his
bold.
camera angles as you are. Your
I
dashboard
love
looks
it. Yeah,
amazing.
you can see the dash. It's beautiful.
It is Rob Demovsky of ESPN.com. Rob, good morning. How you doing? What? You're not moving, right?
No, I'm not. So I just got done with an oil change that I was hoping would be done in time for me to get back home, but ultimately they ran late. They did give me a $25 off coupon though, so I got a deal. So it was worth it. But I want to sit here and see you guys instead of just talk to you on the phone. I don't know how the camera's quite angled, but I did my best.
Well, I do
Looks
have
good.
to. I do have to admit, I thoroughly enjoyed your appearance on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy earlier this week when they were having technical difficulties. So you were on video, but you were talking on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? Got to give the people what they want.
And what people want to see is your handsome mug.
I'm sure.
We're going through the steering wheel.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? I'm going to steal that. I like that, going through this, because then it really focuses where you're at. That's a better angle than what I do. I like that.
Rob, we obviously talked to all these all the coordinators yesterday. We talked to Love.
Yeah.
We talked to it was the entire week condensed into one day.
Yep.
As you get ready to depart for Detroit, what is the number one thing that you think Packers fans should be worried about in this matchup?
Yeah, just the magnitude of what the Lions are facing this week, Jason. I mean, like, if they lose this game, they might be in big trouble. I think the Packers could still lose it and be okay. But, I mean, if they lose this one, they obviously would be 2 games behind the Packers, right, and would lose the tiebreaker or that 2.5, or I don't know how you figure the stupid tie. But, it's a big game for them as well as these guys. But, I just think that, like, with this team, you just sort of never know what you're going to get with the Packers. Like, last week's game plan or how it played out certainly surprised me with how they just, you wouldn't think you lose your running back, you're going to go with a run-heavy game plan, but they did. So you never know what to expect with this team.
Rob, how much of Jordan's injury, and I think Jason has mentioned that it's been downplayed a little bit, how much of that do you think went into last week's game plan, and how much do you think we'll look at what Green Bay, how they're going to attack Detroit's defense, keeping that in mind?
That's a great question, Tausch. My instinct was that it didn't have a lot to do with Love's injury. That was my first thought, but then thinking about it, maybe they just wanted to keep him out of harm's way as much as possible. I mean, it is the left shoulder, and like, I don't know how bad a left shoulder has to be, a non-throwing shoulder has to be, before you can't play with it. I mean, I know Jason was asking some guys yesterday about how Baker Mayfield had a similar injury and couldn't finish the game. And so like, I guess I don't have a great feel, Tausch, for just how limiting a non-throwing shoulder would be. I did ask Love if he would be able to play if this was to his throwing shoulder, and he basically said, I don't know. I've never had anything like this to my throwing shoulder. So I don't have a great feel for just how serious this is.
Rob, when you look at them defensively, for the Packers defensively, Tausch thinks, and Tausch, tell me if I'm misquoting you, Tausch thinks we're going to see more David Montgomery than Jahmyr Gibbs because of everything Jahmyr Gibbs did.
That's not what I said.
What did you say?
That's not what I said. I said they're going to try to pound the football, and I think Montgomery will get more touches than maybe he has.
Yeah.
It's still going to be Gibbs.
Well, wasn't the first game, didn't they throw the ball to Gibbs like a million times for like not many yards?
Yeah, Charlie checked
if I remember
down.
right.
10 catches for like 7 yards. Yeah.
It was like 30 yards or something, right? 10 catches for 30 or 31 yards, something like that. Like, that was not an effective strategy for sure. It'll be interesting to me, does Quay Walker come back and play this week? I mean, that to me, Quay impacts the run game defense, maybe almost as much as anybody, including the interior of the defensive line. So I think Detroit's probably going to look at that and see, they played a the Packers played a ton of nickel last week. Tyron Hopper, I think, played about 16 or 18 snaps. Now, they only had 44 snaps on defense, but they clearly were going nickel and keeping two linebackers, which, again, could have been in response to the formations that the Vikings were using as well. But it'll be interesting to see if Quay is or isn't out there, how the Lions try to attack that with the run game.
To your point, 10 catches on 10 targets for 31 yards.
Yeah.
His longest gain
It's
was
quite the
7.
average.
That was because he's running for his life and he just is getting rid. Like, I don't think the game plan was to dump it to him 10 times for 30 yards. It's probably why Campbell's calling plays now.
Well, and in addition to that, their rushing numbers from that matchup, Montgomery 11 carries 25 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs 9 carries 18 yards, and 14 of the 19 were on one run. If they can do that against this offense, now that Dan Campbell's calling the game, I feel fairly confident that the Packers win the ball game. Rob, what else has
way to
struck
go out
you
on that ledge? Hey, that's a heck of a ledge you just went out on there, old boy. Wow.
Indeed.
Living dangerously, Rob, huh?
Bold. Being facetious. Yeah,
risky wild Jason.
Hey.
Wow.
Demovsky, pipe down over there behind your steering wheel.
Oh, the pipe roll, boy. Fight.
Not at all.
Demovsky. No, hey, that's fair, man. I got no response for that. That's fair.
Rob, I saw this from Dan Campbell. He expects Jaden Reed to play. Do you?
Yeah, I heard. So one of the things I did while I was sitting here waiting for my car to be done was pre-write my Jaden Reed has been activated story. And I'm writing this going, there's no way he's going to play. I mean, he practiced basically one time last Friday. And then, listening to Adam Stenavich yesterday, the offensive coordinator, I walked away from that thinking maybe he will play, and maybe I'm discounting the fact that they would never put him out there with such limited practice time. And like that just goes against everything they've ever done. And I mean, I think, Jason, if we learn anything in this job, it's they do things a certain way most of the time with certain situations, and this would not fit that mold. But boy, I don't know. I thought enough of it that I pre-wrote my story in case it happens this afternoon, right as I'm about to get on the plane. So I guess I can't rule it out. I would be surprised though.
What do? Just throw it away then if it doesn't happen?
No, I'd save it for next week and change the dates and this many practices. And, hey,
Adam, babe. Hey, work smarter, not harder, right? That's how it's got to be.
Right.
What is your best story that you pre-wrote that never saw the light of day?
Yeah, so
Dunkin' Donuts.
That's actually. I love that you asked that. I love that you asked that. I hate doing work that never gets used, and I've told my bosses this. But Rodgers last year as the starter, right? They had to win the last game to make the playoffs, and I wrote what I thought was a pretty damn good story about how they turned the season around and made the playoffs. That story was going to publish at the gun when they won the game. Like, it was probably, honest, I don't write that long, Jason, but it was probably 1,800, 2,000 words, which for me is really, really long. Talked to a bunch of people. It was this inside look at how they turned the season around. I liked it so much that I took a screenshot of like the first 4 or 5 paragraphs and the next day said, this is what I had written did they make the playoffs. I was really proud of that story.
And only because we've known each other for a really long time did I know exactly what the story was that you were about to share. We talked a lot about Micah Parsons yesterday, and thanks to you for keeping your recorder going with the Enter Sandman concept, which I'm going to write about for tomorrow. But when you look at what Micah Parsons has done, we talked about how 10 sacks in each of his first 5 seasons. Reggie White's the only one to do that in his first 5 NFL seasons. Has he had the impact that you anticipated, or has it been even greater than you thought when you were talking to your buddy Todd Archer, who's the Wilde Demovsky of the Cowboys beat, and were getting the information when he was coming to Green Bay?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely been what I expected, but I expected a lot. And I don't know that I would say exceeded because my expectations for him were very high, and I think for the most part he's met those expectations, and not just from the sacks and the pressure numbers, which are obviously off the charts, but just sort of the I don't want to say cockiness, but just the confidence that he brings to the locker room. And, it'll be interesting, though, Jason, when playoffs roll around. This is a guy who has had really no playoff success, maybe no fault of his own. But, a lot of guys look to him for inspiration and leadership. Well, he might have to look to others for how it's done, in the postseason and when they get there or if they get there. So, to me, that's the biggest question mark. And if you look at Micah a little bit over his career, he has trailed off just a little bit late in the season sometimes, and maybe hasn't been. He's been great at closing games. Has he been great at closing seasons? You might have to look that up. I don't have that in front of me, but. I do think I
No,
don't
you
have it
have
on
your
my
steering
dashboard
wheel
in front of
you.
me. Yes, yes. But no, I think a couple of things. One, you pay a guy that much money and you give up that much, you hold your breath hoping that he's available all the time. And he plays and plays and plays snap after snap. So that's not a concern. And then B, you hope that it has the impact both on and off the field. And I think it 100% has.
All right, Rob, before we let you go, the other thing that I thought was interesting, other than you maybe kind of, sort of, but not really, almost running over Rich Bisaccia in the parking lot yesterday, is that the special teams finally didn't stink. And we have been
Yeah.
critical of Bisaccia on this program, but McManus made all of his kicks. They've gotten some bump from Savion Williams on returns, even though he
Yeah.
walks around in a walking boot all week long.
Yeah.
They had the big play from Zane Anderson. Is that the wild card here? Bisaccia was talking about how he and the Lions special teams coordinator have gone against each other forever. Is that
18
potentially the
times
wild
or
card in
something
this
like
game?
that. It's only the wild card if they do something bad. I feel like,
Right.
which I guess could make it a wild card. I think I asked them the question about it. Are you finally over the issues with McManus? And he said, well, last game sort of indicated we were. I think you asked him, do you feel like you've turned a corner? And he said, yeah, but typical, you're only as good as your last game kind of thing. But it does feel like a little bit that they have some things, going in the right direction. And, he brought up the point last year about how last year they lost Zane Anderson late in the year and how much that impacted their special teams. And I'd sort of forgotten about that. And injuries are obviously going to happen, but maybe that was a part of some of the things that maybe went wrong. I don't think that's why Keyshawn Nixon fumbled the opening kickoff against the Eagles, but maybe it would have been blocked better
Right.
if Zane Anderson had been out there. So you just don't know. But I did think that was and Rich was not using that as an excuse. I mean, we asked him about Zane Anderson. So, but I do think it's special teams, Jason, is. I mean, we've seen it over it's just a hold your breath kind of thing, right?
No matter who's running them, it feels like. And Bisaccia, the criticism we've had is he was supposed to finally put an end to that. And
Yeah.
they've had all kinds of issues, as if Sean Menenga was still in charge and stuff.
Mo Drayton.
Mo Drayton. Rob, safe travels to Detroit. Enjoy your time
The
there.
weather's starting to get bad here. The weather. I'm a little concerned about the crew over at Austin Straubel International Airport getting us out of here, but hopefully.
As long as you're there in time for the parade, that's all that matters.
I'll be walking to the stadium.
Rob, we appreciate you. Thanks. Safe travels, buddy.
All right, guys. We'll be seeing you.
That is Rob Demovsky from his oil change in his car with his phone in between the
That
portions
just reminded
of his...
me. I just booked my oil change at Zimbrick Chevy in Sun Prairie after watching Rob. So
Are you going to
thank
book
you,
it
Rob.
during the show so you can do a segment from Zimbrick?
I was just thinking, as Rob just did that, I want to do a week-long where am I and what am I doing? Because you guys always love it when I'm on the road and the camera's in a goofy spot. And I guess last week
We
at this time I
always
was
love
at,
it. I'm not sure that's
Jesse,
an
I
accurate
think
depiction.
Yeah, it's our favorite
Jesse,
thing.
you enjoy it. You don't know what
yeah.
you're getting.
We love working through that. Yeah, that's great. Love it.
All All right, you
really
know what?
fun.
I won't do it then. Here I am trying to come up with some creative, fun
sick
new
bird,
things.
bro. Boy, you really stuck
Yeah,
it to
okay.
us there.
If once
All
a
right,
year
we
you
won't. I'll
want to do
sit in
where in
Jason's
the world is
basement.
Old T, and you do it from a
just
car
sit-
or a cliff or
I'm going to
wherever.
sit in Jason's basement, and I'm going to be mopey and go mopey.
I do it-
Maybe
you
I'll
do
do
it
my
from a
laundry
cliff.
and maybe get some crochet out and start crocheting.
Dude,
for my
I gotta be honest.
110 cats that are at my feet.
You being distracted by my laundry folding has put a major crimp in my laundry planning. But out of respect for your focus, I obviously have stopped doing that. What I have not stopped doing is checking out Bucks
Thank
Plus.
you so much for doing your job instead of household
No one
chores.
said I wasn't
Thank
doing my
you,
job.
Jason.
I was multitasking.
Oh, my God.